Hello everyone, welcome to the continuation of the clown decade. This week in the news we had the Met Gala 2021, and stars explored the American independence theme, and this is the pictures from The Guardian. Just a select few for us to go through and see how the Hunger Games has become reality. And to start with, I'm going with the only one that looks even close to the theme, and it's just basically torn ribbons of red and white with a blue denim jacket. Still looks ridiculous, but hey, all these people are trying to wank themselves off over the new fashion designs that they can come up with, even though no one wears this shit in real life. Next up, it's someone who I can only imagine is gay, wearing some sort of weird shirt with the North American kind of map, through transparent gay men kissing or something. I have no idea what's going on. Who wears this stuff? Next is the first bit of cringe activism from Congresswoman Caroline B. Maloney. She's just wearing this thing saying equal rights for women and era yes. It's just pathetic virtue signalling, and again, looks ridiculous. I mean, really, Hunger Games did nail it with the way that the upper classes were wearing their clothes and how their fashion was. You could just take it straight from these galas. And then we have Elliot Page, who recently transitioned. I don't understand how this multimillionaire can't find a suit that fits. And I don't understand, like, this has been a common thing for this gala for some reason. They wear suits, but then their shoes are just like trainers or Converse or something instead of smart, sensible formal wear. I don't understand what's fashionable about this, and I will stick to my black-tie dress codes for every single important formal event I go to. Honestly, I'm skipping a lot here, I swear, but we just have to get through the highlights. So next we have, the football star, or soccer star if you're in America, Megan Rapinoe, who is wearing this kind of simple get-up with, look, she's got stars, a bit of blue and a bit of red. She doesn't show it in this picture, but her purse in her hand there says, "In Gay We Trust." Just this whole thing about American independence, and all these people are just all up for their own personal activism. They're all just attention seekers and the most narcissistic people on the planet, and this is the perfect opportunity for them to bask in their own narcissism. We now come to the penultimate one, because I thought this was funny. Kim Kardashian in what is basically a skin-tight burqa. And again, this is still narcissism. This screams of that time when Shia LaBeouf went to a movie opening, put a paper bag on his head and said, "I'm not famous anymore." It's more just attention seeking. I mean, the whole thing is, there's not much to add on that. So finally, we have reached the dress that I came here to talk about, because honestly, I would have just ignored this if it weren't for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing her own bit of virtue signaling that screams Hassan Piker. Though I don't think this is anywhere near as bad as what Hassan Piker did. I think not only do we have to go through how AOC is a bit of a hypocrite and an idiot, but also her fashion designer, and I'll explain what I mean as we go through the video. Trust me, it will become clear. So AOC put out a tweet saying the medium is the message, with a picture of her with her fashion designer, who for some reason is in a mask but AOC isn't. I do want to point out at this point that actually at the gala, none of the rich people were wearing masks. It was only the plebs in the background who had to take photographs and things like that. But why her fashion designer is wearing a mask in a room with at most 3 people, but not at a gala with hundreds, is beyond me. Anyway, back to the point. She also put along with it her text from her Instagram post with it. And that reads as follows. AOC, the medium is the message. Proud to work with @Aurora James as a sustainably focused black woman immigrant designer who went from starting her dream at Brother Veliez, which is her fashion label, at a flea market in Brooklyn to winning the CFDA against all odds, and then worked together to kick open the doors at the Met. The time is now for childcare, healthcare and climate action for all. Tax the rich. Now, I want you to keep in mind that AOC describes her designer as a black woman immigrant, and that is important for later. But for now, AOC also put another tweet out there saying, and before haters get wild flying off the handle, New York elected officials are routinely invited to and attend the Met due to our responsibilities in overseeing and supporting the city's cultural institutions for the public. And I was one of the several in attendance in the evening. Again, it's like there was no alternative. It just reminds me of the Hassan Piker thing where he's like, I have to buy a house and it's got to be a $3 million one, when he's a streamer and he can literally live anywhere and put the money he saved to better use. But in this one, AOC didn't have a choice. She had to attend the evening. You see, she had to attend the evening because she was invited. No, AOC, you can turn it down and say, no, you're all too rich, and I think I'd be being a bit of a hypocrite if I end up as a socialist fraternising with the class that I think are evil and ruining this country. It's this whole thing called reveal preference, and every socialist does it these days. Basically, they will signal that they are all for the working class and all this, but in reality, their reveal preference shows they'd rather be the richest bastards in the world and fraternise with all the upper classes, despite their background. Because, you know, AOC was a bartender and a waitress and all that, and then got elected in because any Democrat gets elected in as a congresswoman or man in New York. And from then on, she's acted nothing short of an idiot. And this proves it. Because according to The Cut, they have an FAQ section on what the Met Gala is all about. And one of them is, how much does a Met Gala ticket cost? And tickets used to cost $50 back in 1948, when publicist Eleanor Lambert came up with the idea to host a big fundraising party for the costume institution. In 2019, tickets reportedly cost about $35,000 per person. As for how many people get to go, it's generally between 500 and 600. Brands and companies like Apple buy tables for between $200,000 and $300,000 and invite guests, and Wintour gives the final word. That's the woman who hosts the gala. Some museum guests get to attend for free, but the goal is to sell as many seats and tables as possible. Both the 2018 and 19 Met Galas raised over $13 million, according to a rep for the museum. So obviously AOC is one of the lucky few who gets invited for free. And these rich people aren't idiots. They know who she is. She's the congresswoman for New York. They probably lobby her. And invite her to the Met Gala is probably one of the ways they are trying to lobby her. So they completely know that she's going to come along with a dress that will have some sort of activism for it. They know this because these people are entirely predictable. They have nothing of worth to actually give back to their community or anything like that. They just have baseless platitudes and catchphrases, and it just makes them look dumb. But don't just take my word for it. Let's get AOC's own words of what she was doing at the gala. And I mean, already, it's clear that this is nothing more than a stunt, and all the photographers are like, oh my god, I want these pictures, because everyone's obviously going to want to see this, because this is all performative bullshit. These people are nothing but attention grabbers. AOC is part of that cabal now. I don't care where she came from, I don't care if she's working class. Money and fame can turn anyone into a narcissistic prick.
And tell me the story behind this look, behind your look paired together, what white means.
I mean, have you seen the back?
No,
we have a message.
Oh my god, tax the rich. What a model.
See what I mean? Absolutely nothing actually said in depth about taxing the rich. It's just, oh, you're a model, you look great in that. Oh my god, the message is so on fleek, as the kids say. And this probably sums up AOC's entire career in politics so far. Nothing but attention seeking with populist messages, essentially. Left-wing populist messages.
AOC. What up? I didn't know you model as well. Damn. So, yeah, tell me how this
she
came
models
together.
a message, you know? That's what it is, right?
Yes, it is. She does model a message. All she does is model messages. That's all she can do. She has nothing substantive behind her. She is nothing but a performer, as most politicians are. Because that's what most lobbyists and people want. Voters want someone that they feel they are virtuous voting for, and lobbyists just want useful idiots. AOC is the prime example who fits both of these perfectly. No principles, just go along with the popular message and do whatever the rich class are telling you to do. Oh, go tell everyone that you want to tax the rich, right? Because you tax the rich a bit more, one, we could just hide our money and avoid tax. And two, you're going to raise business taxes so high that it's just going to keep us in as a monopoly. Like, well done, AOC, you're just making the problems worse. Because you're a narcissist.
And it's like, if you're going to come somewhere like the Met Gala and you're the congresswoman, we would expect nothing less.
Just do as you're expected, AOC. You were expected to do this. That's why you were invited. You were invited so that you can feel good because you're putting forward a message that your voters want. While in the end, this is just lobbying. It's crazy. There's nothing of substance to go off here. But it's just impossible to not go through this. Since I just don't understand how her head isn't screaming at her saying, you are being used. But it's entirely possible that she does know she's being used and she doesn't care because she feels good about everything she's doing.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been when Aurora and I were first kind of partnered, we really started having a conversation about what it means to be working class women of color at the Met.
I do love it. Their entire personality is based on their class and their skin colour. Nothing about their interests, nothing about who they are as people, nothing with any substance whatsoever. All they cared about was, right, we're both not white and we're both working class, allegedly. How do we make that obvious to everyone? And apparently the answer is a white dress saying, tax the rich. I mean, how shit is that?
And we said, you know, we can't just play along, but we need to break the fourth wall and challenge some of the institutions. And you know, while the Met is known for its spectacle, we should have a conversation about it.
Total moron. Nothing but platitudes. We have to feel like we're doing something, whether we do something or not. We have to break the fourth wall, which, what an idiot phrase to use in this context. You're breaking nothing. The rich people want you to tax more. And the reason for, as I said before, they can just hide their money and perform tax evasion quite easily. And not only that, the business owners there are part of the tech giants, as you know, the example was before with Apple, and they want to further their monopoly power, and they do that through government intervention, such as increasing taxes that you think will tax the rich. And AOC is just completely empty character. Just continues with other interviews she had on the night. I mean, just listen to her.
Aurora is such an incredible designer. She started her label right here in New York City with $3,500 in her pocket a few years ago.
And, you know, sure, good on her for making her own business and managing to get rich off it. I am totally for business people doing that. Problem comes in is that then they get rich and basically they become part of what you could call a cathedral. And then they just go along with popular opinions with other elites up there. I mean, honestly, if AOC was Republican, does she really think she'd be invited to this? Does she really think if she didn't agree with pretty much everything that these people thought, she'd get invited to it? No, she'd be called a bigot and a Nazi. But obviously when you are part of that elite community with the same morals, you end up being blinded to these facts.
And we asked, what does it mean to be two working class women showing up to the Met? And so we decided that we're going to do it. I just want to send the message. Tax the rich. I
mean, this is it. This is apparently all it means to be women of colour. Oh my god, I'm not saying that. To be non-white women, working class women as well, going to the Met. It's just be there, tell them to tax the rich. What? You're the one in power. And also, they agree with you. It's like, oh, it's so brave going to these rich people and saying tax them more. They agree, AOC. That's why you were invited. God, I sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, and look, I wouldn't mind this if it wasn't just such obvious performative cringe activism here, but she's clearly just there for the attention. She loves the attention, and don't get me wrong, I love attention. Why do you think I made a YouTube channel? But I'm not going to be making my serious points while at the same time winking at cameras and giving them smiles and things like that. There's a time to be serious about politics and sending messages, and there's a time to basically bask in your own narcissism. And trying to mix them is an awful idea.
And do you have a message for New York? We've been through so much.
I'm just so proud and so thankful to our city for holding it down over this very difficult year.
Empty platitudes, stuff like this. What do you have to say about the people of New York? Yeah, nothing bad. Oh, well done for surviving coronavirus. Yeah, well done, Cuomo. I hear those nursing home death rates are through the roof.
For making sure that we're getting vaccinated so that we can have this opportunity in this moment, for getting tested, everything that it needs to take.
Yeah, you get the point. She's just going on about vaccines and things like that and like, oh, well done for taking them. Despite the fact it's practically mandated in the state, and at least according to Louis Levu, even when you take the vaccine, you still have to comply with the same rules as unvaccinated people. So what's the bloody point? So anyway, enough with AOC, because she's really annoying. Now I want to talk about her designer, and as mentioned before, she was described as a black woman immigrant, which really makes you think African or Caribbean or something like that. You know, one of those poorer areas, a place with a large working class, you might say. So according to Wikipedia, Aurora James is a Canadian creative director, activist and fashion designer. It's like, oh, she's an immigrant. Yeah, we know what you mean when you say immigrant, AOC. You mean people who cross the southern border from Mexico, say, or from somewhere else, Port. You don't think from the north border to Canada. You know, it's clear why she used the term immigrant rather than Canadian. But, as I say, she does nothing but to attention seek. In 2013, she founded the fashion label Brother Vellies, with the goal of keeping traditional African design practices and techniques alive, which is probably why AOC's dress looked incredibly African. In 2020, James founded the 15% Pledge as a non-profit organisation to support black-owned businesses. Now, this is the main thing I wanted to get onto. So, 15% Pledge, let's have a look. Black people in the US make up nearly 15% of the population. More specifically, according to the census data, that is 13.4%. So, you're rounding up, fair enough. That's where I'd go to. So we are calling on major retailers to commit a minimum of 15% of their shelf to black-owned businesses. Ah, see, this is where you get an issue. You now are specifically trying to over-represent them in major retailers' shelves for whatever reason. Could this be anything to do with you being a black-owned businesswoman, Miss James? Could it be anything to do with that? Is it you trying to make sure you are always on a shelf somewhere? Call me cynical, but that's what it screams to me of. This reminds me a bit of the BBC trying to get over 10% of the employees to all be outed as gay or trans or just part of the LGBTQ community. I hate calling it a community, but that's the wording they use. Ideas like this are just usually put forward by people for cynical manners to basically always ensure they have a job or get an income. And then obviously people at the top want to go along with it because it's a virtuous thing to do, according to their morals. But not only is it the elite's chance to do something, apparently you can take the 15% pledge as an individual too. We've called on major retailers to dedicate 15% of their shelf space to black-owned businesses, and thanks to your help, these retailers are responding to the collective call to action. Now supporters like you are asking how you can join our ongoing fight. We are now proud to roll out the new programme that invites you to take the pledge in your own lives. Okay, step 1. Take inventory of your own spending power. The first step in making change in the world starts with taking stock of your own life. As a consumer, the dollars you spend every day have a huge impact on restaurants, retailers, brands and small businesses. Taking inventory of your current spending in all aspects of your life is your starting point. How many black-owned companies are currently represented in your monthly spending? Own the findings and commit to a plan that holds you accountable to doing better. Apparently you're doing a bad thing if you don't spend some of your money on black-owned businesses. Apparently that's a bad thing to do. It's the free market. Make a really good product, people will buy it. It's just such a stupid point to make. How many people do you think go to restaurants just because they're white-owned? How many bakers do people go to because they happen to be white-owned and that's the only thing they care about? None. Basically nobody. So why would people do it in the reverse, going to black-only businesses? It's just trying to get segregation back in. It's crazy. Step 2. Buy black at least 15% of your monthly spending. When committing to increasing representation and diversifying your own spending power, we believe that applying a measurable metric is critical to accountability. Make a commitment and a plan to redirect at least 15% of your monthly budget across categories to black-owned businesses. This is the same as step 1. This is literally just step 1, but they add in 15%. Like, what's the point? Step 3. Donate if you can. $15 a month goes a long way. A monthly donation commitment of $15 helps us continue our important advocacy work for black-owned businesses, as well as holding large retailers accountable to their commitment. Not everyone will be able to donate, but if you can, your support will help power the work we do every single day to dramatically change the trajectories for black businesses across the country and to funnel billions back into the black community. This just seems crazy to me. I mean, you know, advocate for what you want, but it's like, oh, as an individual, all you have to do is buy things from black businesses and make sure it's at least 15%, or you could be a racist. And if you're not poor, give us $15 a month. The first 2 steps are basically buy from black businesses, including mine, by the way, and then literally just also give me money for free. incredible. I mean, this alone just seems like a massive grift. So what is the pledge all about? The pledge is an invitation to retailers to give their valued community what they're asking for. Variation of products and economic equality. It requires a comprehensive re-evaluation of business as usual and is an opportunity to create sustainable solutions over a multi-year horizon. It's an opportunity to grow and learn together, with a little picture to the left saying black culture is no longer available for free consumption. Please name me a time when it was. But that just gives the game away. They're after economic equality and variation of products. That's not what they mean. They don't care. A black-owned business in and of itself doesn't mean that it is a variation of another product. It could be an exact copy, it just happens to be black-owned. I mean, how many ways can you make bread, for God's sake? And if there is genuine variation that people want, they'll earn their place on the shelves, as it is a profitable business venture. You don't deserve space on that shelf and profitability just because you are black. This entire campaign thinks you do. It is nothing but preferential treatment to these black-owned businesses, and I know it's a bit of a meme at this point, but it really is the bigotry of low expectations. Since this screams to me that you don't think that black businesses can get on the shelves through their own merit. Of course they can. Don't be ridiculous. You did it yourself. So that's everything I had for you today. As you can tell, AOC and everyone she seems to fraternise with do nothing but performative activism. It's incredibly cringe, and really I should ignore it, but it was hard to ignore, given how close to Hassan Piker the whole affair seemed to be. And then the people that do actually try and do things tend to have set up... I mean, this isn't the worst charity you could set up, to be fair. It's just advocating for businesses to get more black-owned business products and services on the shelves of retailers. As I always say, I am all up for liberty and freedom. This doesn't infringe on rights. But however, it does seem like a massive grift that was simply set up to directly benefit the person who set it up. And that isn't really what charity should be about. Anyway, as usual, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.